Good morning.
Good morning.
For those listening, Sarah is eating.
I've got my morning pear
Morning pair of what?
of the morning. Sometimes this is the chance I have to eat because I'm sitting down and I'm like, right, I can eat now.
Yeah. Doesn't matter that it's your story.
Difficult to fit in things in the day. You got multitask.
Oh yeah, you do. I normally
You're
eat.
sleeping while we're recording.
I know. I will be in a sec. Yeah. I normally eat while I'm driving.
Yeah.
Is that illegal? It probably is
No,
actually.
it's not.
It's not?
No.
Okay. Good. Well,
No.
I eat while I'm driving because I drive for like 3 or 4 hours
Mm.
each way, and I'm like, as soon as I get there, I need to be getting on with it so that I can
Yeah.
get home. So
And I don't know about you, but I get snackish when I'm driving, especially long journeys because it's boring, isn't it?
it is boring,
You
yeah.
get snackish.
Yeah.
Right.
All
You
right.
love sharks, don't you?
I love sharks.
Right. There was a program on ITVX
Mm-hmm.
called Shark Celebrity Infested Waters.
I see that. It's on my list to watch.
Oh my gosh, we've just finished it.
Oh, is it good?
It is, I don't know why it's so good, but it's just so wholesome.
Oh, okay.
It's a very amazing watch, actually. It's not like a reality show or anything like that. It's an incredibly wholesome watch to
Oh, that's surprising. I didn't think it
yeah.
was going to be
I
wholesome.
didn't know what to expect, to be honest, but it's certainly not like a celebrity reality show. You know, nobody gets
Mm.
voted off. They're all working towards this end dive of diving with tiger sharks, and
Mm.
um, it's incredibly respectful and it's really
Oh,
really
okay.
good. So I thought you'd enjoy that.
Thank you very much. I
Yeah,
will. I will give that a watch. Can I make a book recommendation for everyone?
go.
For those of you that enjoy Stephen King books, I have to say, I'm now, I think, on the fourth time of reading Stephen King's fairy tale, and I love it. I absolutely love it. As soon as I've finished, I think, oh, I want to go back into that world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, do you get that with Harry Potter books and things like
yeah,
that,
but
where you think, I just want to be in that world?
I keep saying to Josie, I'm reading a new book at the moment. I say a new book. I'm on book 9
Oh,
out of
yeah,
however many there are.
those sets,
And I
yeah.
feel exactly the same, especially if I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed or feeling a certain kind of way. That is my escape.
Yeah.
I just want to immerse myself in the characters, in that world, and
This is
I love
100%.
it.
Certainly for me, anyway. I was talking to my sister Tess about it, and she said, yeah, it got really mixed reviews though. And I said, I'm sure it did, not because it's a rubbish book, but it's the most un-Stephen
Mm,
King like
yeah,
Stephen King book. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
it's not something that he would normally write,
It's
I
like the
guess.
J.K. Rowling books, which like the Casual Vacancy. That's like a
Mm.
thriller.
Yeah, although I hated that.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I couldn't. Only because I couldn't. I just couldn't get into it.
And the Ichabod, or Ichabod, whatever it is.
I've read that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's very different.
yeah,
So
very very different. But it's just a lovely book and it's a lovely story. The characters are great in there. There are parts of like, ugh,
mm,
because it is still Stephen King, but it's so good. And essentially, the book focuses on a boy and his love for his dog,
oh,
and I just think it's beautiful. So if you're looking for a story to really immerse yourself in, I personally would recommend Stephen King's Fairy Tale. Give it a
okay.
whirl. It's quite a big book, but
I'll
it's
add it to my.
brilliant.
I love a big book.
I
It
love a big book.
excites me when I see a big book. I'm like, yes, something I
Yes,
can
get
sink
in
my
my
teeth
face.
into. Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
Or a really long book series. I love that. Because what
it's
I'll
just
do
lovely.
is I'll put that book series down and then I'll read a few other smaller books and then I'll pick the book series back up and just sit and read it all in one. But my book at the moment it's very fantasy and there's elves and but it's just a really lovely the way that it's done. It's really lovely, but I keep trying to tell Josie about it and it's so funny because she's not interested at all. She literally ran away from me the other day.
It's
I
pretty
was
similar
like,
to Claire.
Keith's mum, right? And she was like, ah, just literally ran.
Shut your face.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
No, I
She's like,
know.
la 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 la.
And also, I meant to say thank you a while ago, actually, for recommending Elsewhere.
Oh, did you read it?
I did read it and I thought it was lovely. I
Yeah, it
thought
was
it was
lovely, isn't
so
it?
lovely. And
A
the
really nice
idea,
concept.
yeah, the idea behind it is just beautiful. And
Yeah,
I really, really enjoyed reading it.
yeah.
So yeah, anyone who is maybe struggling with grief a little bit, I recommend reading
Oh,
Elsewhere
absolutely. Yeah,
because
I was
it's
going through a
lovely.
period of really dark thoughts almost about death and
Mm,
dying and things. And that book really helped shine a light on it.
same, yeah,
It was a
definitely.
really nice read. So yeah, you're right. If you are struggling with some sort of grief or anything like that, the
Yeah,
book Elsewhere,
by
really lovely.
Gabrielle Zevlin, is it?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, recommend that.
It's a
Okay.
very easy read, like Harry Potter. It's not too. Some fantasy books can be very complicated,
Yeah, I
like Lord
find,
of the Rings, and they
yeah,
can be
Lord
quite
of the
tricky.
Rings,
But
all
it's a
the like
very
Terry
easy.
Pratchett
Yeah,
books, I
no,
find
no, I
really
don't need it
difficult.
too complicated a book, but
Mm.
it's a very easy, like Harry Potter, almost set for sort of like the teenage type.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So I'll recommend it to you.
Oh, what are they called again? I just need to
The
make a...
Keeper of the Lost Cities.
Okay.
Right, so now that we're done with our book recommendations,
Yes.
let's crack on
All right.
with
Random
random
blabs.
blabs.
Go!
So I got in this morning. I had to take the dog out, and then I got straight back in, and then I was like, "Right, Josie, find me a random blam. I'm going to start logging on." So she
Yeah.
found me a random blam, and then she was like, "I don't know if it's true though." And I said, "What do you mean? You've read it on the internet. Of course it's true.
Yeah.
Why are you, why
I see it
are you
on
questioning
TikTok.
it?
Why would it not be true?
It's on someone's Facebook profile, so obviously." So,
Uh,
so she then looked it up further, and it is in fact true. So
okay.
the random blam for today is that if you eat a polar bear's liver, you will die. How about that?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, if you tried to eat a polar bear's liver, you would die.
You won't die from polar bear attack,
Polar
but
bear would
you'll
be
die.
like, get off.
Yeah, you'll die from something called hypervitaminosis
Oh,
because polar bears' livers and mostly like big sea animals like bearded seal and walrus and things like that.
hmm.
Their liver contains too much vitamin A for our body to handle.
Eh?
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 So it's toxic for us and we will die. So if anybody offers you walrus liver or
Polar bear
polar
liver.
bear liver, it's a no-go.
I'll just be like, no, thanks, mate.
We have just saved so many lives.
Well, I love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Because, if I get hungry and polar bear liver is the only thing on the menu,
Well, you know
now,
now.
now I shall be like, no, thank you. Whereas before
Oh
I'd have been
god.
like, delicious with a nice Chianti. Thank you.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah.
no.
Well, that's weird because my random blam is about penguins.
Mm.
We've gone
You
all
can eat their livers,
Arctic.
it's all right.
Yeah, well, I'm not planning to do that, but I haven't even written it down. But so penguins are birds and they have a wing structure, but they don't have wings. They have
They have
flippers.
wings but don't fly.
Yeah, they have
That's a
wings.
Friends.
Yeah,
Friends
but
reference.
oh, but they they don't they don't have wings.
Oh,
They've got flippers.
yeah. So
That's
can
just
they not
weird.
like
But they're a bird.
can they not abduct them? Like,
Abduct them.
yeah, abduct, like when you move your arm away from your body, it's called abduction. And when you move it to your body, it's
Really?
called adduction. Yeah.
Oh.
That's the an
No,
anatomical.
they can flap.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They can flap, but they only use them as like flippers like that in
I
water
see.
to make
Oh,
them swim really fast. But they are a bird, and by definition, birds should have wings, and they don't have wings. They have
they have
flippers,
flippers for arms.
but they are a winged structure. So
All right.
same as emus. Emus have got wings, but
They are
they
not fly.
can't
Can you
use them
imagine
to
seeing an
fly
emu
at
flying
all.
across the
That'd be
fucking sky?
terrifying, wouldn't it? They're fucking huge, aren't they? But
They're like dinosaurs, aren't they? Their feet are so prehistoric. It's ridiculous.
so prehistoric. I know. I there's other birds like that where I see them like walking across and I think, oh, that'd be like what it'd be
Dinosaur
like to
foot.
see a dinosaur foot.
Yeah.
Bird feet.
Bird.
All right.
Random lambs then. Done.
Done. Morning.
Wow, we've not had a morning like that, have we?
No,
You've
because
so
I
just done all
try
your
and
work.
subdue my mornings because my microphone keeps cutting it out and I don't know how to stop that. But then this morning I just thought I'm going for it.
I didn't cut it out, and I loved it.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
I shall
Well,
start ramping up my blams.
I am so excited
Yes.
for this. I'm not quite as excited as our children were yesterday, actually, and I'm going to tell this story really quickly.
All right.
Me and Josie, we didn't want to parent yesterday. So we made them pancakes in the morning, and while they were sat at the table eating pancakes, they have all their like pancake toppings out and everything like that.
You and Josie left.
Yeah, we just left the house for the day.
Like,
No, we was in the front room and Isaac was like, Mom. And Josie was like, Mum's not here. And he was like, oh, yeah, we can have ice cream. Yeah, let's get the ice cream. And we didn't stop them. And they just ransacked the kitchen. And it was really nice, actually, because we just let them. But they then created this whole milkshake that they wanted to make out of all the different ice creams. And they just kind of had fun with the whipped cream and then started putting whipped cream in each other's faces, and it was really nice. But at one point Isaac was so excited, he came in and he was like, oh, I'm gonna make this milkshake and I'm gonna put this whipped cream on top of it, I'm gonna put it on, you know. It was the funniest thing I've ever. He was so excited that he was quivering.
oh.
And then me and Josie was like, are we bad parents? Do we just not let them have any fun ever?
They're so excited they've literally just pissed their knickers because they get to make a milkshake.
I can hear Josie laughing because it was so funny.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah. He was like, let it come in, levitate. He was just so excited. His voice was all a quiver.
Levitating.
I mean, he's pretty excited most of the time, but this was a whole new level of excitement. It was really funny, but yeah.
So did they end up having like loads of sugar?
Well, Hayley ended up not having one because it took so long to make Isaac's one that she was like, oh, I don't want to wash everything up and then have to make it and then wash it all up again. So she just didn't.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So no, they had I don't even know what was in the milkshake. There was some ice lollies there was food colouring. They'd smashed up ice lollies. I don't even know.
Oh, goodness, I bet it was rank.
No, he enjoyed it. He put sweets in it. He decorated the rim of the glass.
Very
when
creative.
we came into the kitchen, there was blue sprinkles everywhere.
Oh, that's cute. I love that for them.
Yeah, I do as well. I like just letting them create stuff and get on with stuff. But
yeah.
So yeah, I am that level excited for this episode.
Wow.
So when I'm talking, I'm
I'm so excited. I'm not sure I know the the episode. I don't know. I might know
I
it.
don't think you will. It's not very well known.
Okay.
Not very well known. But so let's crack on because
All right.
I've got a lot to get through.
All right.
So as you may have guessed from the title of this episode,
Yes.
this is about dissociative identity disorder, or formerly known as multiple personality disorder. So throughout the episode, I may refer from one to the other.
Yeah, who knows?
DID, or I may say MPD. They are one and the same.
Okay.
The person that I'm talking about in this episode, Jenny, she generally refers to herself as having multiple personality disorder. So if I'm saying MPD, it's because she generally says MPD. So
Okay.
but if I say DID, it's the same thing, dissociative identity disorder. So this is a topic that I just became so like enthralled with it as a teenager. And I used to read a lot of abuse books and things like that. I came across multiple personality disorder and I just became absolutely obsessed with it, to the point that when I was like 15, 16, I wrote an entire book and the main character has multiple personality disorder.
Oh.
Which, I mean, it's a great book. You should read it sometime.
Oh. Give us the copy. Well, give us a copy of it and I'll read it.
All right. It's actually just typed out on I've got the old copy of it that's all written out, and I've got the typed out version of it, but I don't have it actually on a computer, so I need to retype it all up.
Oh my god! So there's
get it on a computer.
There's like one paper copy.
There is one paper copy, yeah. And it's
goodness
ancient at the moment. But the story is based on a child that suffers quite horrendous sexual abuse and then develops multiple personality disorder, and one of her personalities, or alters is what they're called, can predict the future, and then goes on to she predicts future crimes that are going to happen, and then the main character has to try and understand that and then go and stop the crime from happening. It's a great book.
Yeah, it's a great
Very
read.
good book. So when I came across this story about a woman with like 2,682 personalities,
that's mad.
Obviously, I was like, get in my repertoire. But then the more I researched this episode and the deeper I got into it, I realized that there was just no way that I could do this story justice. So what I've decided to do, so the reason I can't do it justice is just because there's a lot of information from her herself out there, and there's a book that she's written and things, and so I'm going to tell you a little bit like an overview of the story, and we'll go into multiple personality disorder. So yeah, what I've decided to do is give an overview of Jenny's story, what DID is, how it forms, and then some stories that I found of other people that have DID, and then the stories that they have also shared.
Cool.
The Jenny story is incredibly harrowing, incredibly sad and traumatic, and incredibly inspiring. So there's some great podcasts out there that interview her and her alters. There are some great documentaries on YouTube. There's like a 60-minute Australia documentary. And so they have all done this story much better than I could ever have done it. And they all involve Jenny. So I didn't want to tell every single detail of her story because it's been done and it's been done better. So
okay.
Listener discretion is advised for this episode as it involves horrific abuse of a child.
Oh, okay.
So I bet there are a lot of listeners out there that haven't got the faintest idea what DID is. So I will go into a brief overview of it. And it is important for our listeners to remember that we are not doctors, we are not therapists. So
far from it.
So far. I understand what DID is and MPD is. I understand it. And I'm going to try and put it into kind of layman's terms, but if I get some words wrong or something, you know, I don't mean any offense by it. I'm just trying to cover my back because I'm an idiot with words and things. So
Same.
Dissociative identity disorder, as you know, formerly known as multiple personality disorder, is seen as a mental health condition where the person will have at least two alters, but two or more separate identities, otherwise known as alters. And it is normally formed in childhood, where I say normally, it has to be formed in childhood, where the child will have suffered severe repetitive trauma through the ages of birth up until 8 years old. So any trauma after the age of 8 and the DID won't manifest.
Okay.
Any abuse that is suffered in those ages that isn't necessarily repetitive or it's formed in a very unique way, and it has to kind of have a set of like tick box things. All those things have to happen for MPD to manifest.
So it has to be almost like the perfect storm for it to manifest.
And I think it involves it depends on the person as well, because that person has to have quite a unique brain for it to. So it's not very common, which is good because it comes from trauma. So
yeah.
But yes, so it has to be between the ages of birth and 8 years old, because that is when the sense of identity and the sense of self is developing and then is fractured by the trauma. So from my research from this, the trauma is 99% of the time childhood sexual abuse.
Oh.
And the most heartbreaking crux of this is that it needs to be in instances where the victim has absolutely no way out. No way to escape, like literally no hope. The only hope they have is to find a way themselves to protect themselves. So they protect themselves mentally from the abuse that is happening. It's almost like a protective barrier. So yes, they know that there is no one else out there that can help. There is no way for it to stop. So they have to do something themselves. And it's very much a brain thing. It's not something obviously that they can control. It's the brain. The body is just fantastic at protecting itself. The body is designed to survive, so it will do whatever it needs to do to survive. So it, like I say, it's almost like a protective barrier. And these identities, these alters, are normally seen as stronger protective figures. And they are there to protect them from the abuse. There is no limit to the amount of alters a person can develop, and each alter plays a unique role. Some will be the protector, like a big, strong character that will take the brunt of the abuse. Others might be like the mother figure that they wish that they had had. Some will be personalities that might control sexuality or femininity or masculinity. Some might be the alter that is in charge of education. So they will front while being at school. They will take the tests. They will be the clever one. One might be the rebellious one, the one that wishes they could say these things or wishes they could fight back. Something that the abused child would never dream of. One might even be the part of the child's self that is just desperate to like try an ice cream for the first time, or you know, experience sunlight. You know, they're all these alters are part of the child that is craving something or needs something, that they all play a role. So almost like any need that isn't met, sometimes these alters can split off, and then it's their job to meet these needs. So these alters are essentially their own person living within the host. So they can have their own gender, their own name, their own dress style, their own accent, and they all serve a purpose in the brain. So the average amount of alters a person can have varies, but generally the average is considered around 10. However, some have 2 And some, like Jeni, have what they call a system, and they have hundreds. Some people are able to have conversations with their alters, so they kind of all work together as a team in the brain, and they all know their job, they all know their role, they're very cohesive. And others have no idea that their alters exist, so they don't know that they exist until something happens and they're like, this is weird, that's weird, and it kind of brings it to light. Like that, they might go to therapy. Or for example, one man only found out about his multiple personalities because when his alters were fronting, they would leave him a note. So then when he was back, he would see this note and be like, who's Alan? You know?
That's mad, isn't it?
One found out about her alters because people that she didn't know would come up to her and, you know, hi, Laura. She'd be like, who's Laura? Who are you? Yeah. Because while the alters are fronting, they aren't there. So they don't know what goes on while the alters are fronting.
So you're either Fred or you're Laura.
Yes. So that's why it's called dissociative identity disorder, because you dissociate, and amnesia is a massive part of dissociative identity disorder because they don't remember these periods of time. The fronting of another alter can be for a quick conversation, or it can be for years. Some alters can get stuck. And it's just so incredible to me. Like, I find it so absolutely fascinating. But it's still very much unexplored. So there's still so much that we don't know about DID. But each person's system works differently, with Jeni's being the most complicated system ever, just because of the sheer numbers of them. So research shows that when an alter switches out and is fronting, they have different brainwaves.
So
there are different brainwaves for each different alter, each different personality, because they are essentially their own person. They all think differently. They all act differently. And there is a study, actually, that took a bunch of actors and monitored their brainwaves and then had them switch into a character and then monitored their brainwaves. And there was no difference.
Oh, really?
Whereas with the MPD or the DID, when they switch and these alters come forward, there is a clear difference. In brainwaves. So it is very real. It's very clever. It's a very sad thing that a child's brain can do. And I wish I knew more about it. I wish I understood it so much more. But one of Jeni's personality describes MPD as an act of love, not a mental illness or a mental health condition. They say it is an act of protecting oneself by creating a network of people that love you and that care about you and that will do anything to protect you. So before I start Jeni's story, do you have a general understanding of DID?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Can I ask a question?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, thank you. You said that it was described as like creating people around you that love you.
Yeah.
Are there any cases that you know of where certain personalities have been like evil?
Yes.
And they've done like bad things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there are. So I'll go there. There's a case at the end where I'll go through, and yes, that does happen, because some of these personalities, it could be. So when a child is abused, sometimes it goes one of two ways, doesn't it? Sometimes they are the abuser themselves because it makes them feel powerful. So sometimes an alter can be that person.
Right.
Because that is a part of the child. They wish that they can inflict this pain on somebody else. And that then splits off into another alter. That is the alter that fulfills that need. Jeez. It doesn't happen very often, and I don't want to kind of paint it in a bad light or anything like that, but yes, it can happen.
Okay.
You will have a lot of questions about this, and I'll answer them as best as I can at the end.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, I won't be going into tons of detail about this case because it is horrendous. And Jeni and her alters have written a book, which actually details every single aspect of her abuse, which I have ordered, and it is coming from Australia.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about me, but I just have to understand. I have to know what she's been through. And that's terribly morbid. But the more I sort of listened and the more little bits were coming out, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe somebody can live through this and then act the way that they're acting now, or, you know, tell their story. And I just needed to understand. So I have got the book. And when it comes, I will read it. I will put down my multiple book series. I'll read this book.
Is there a chance? Are you ever going to go into like how truly horrendous, like this story is? Do you think?
Yeah, after I've read the book, I will assess and see what I can take out and what I can leave in without it being too traumatic.
Okay, and then maybe just do like a part 2 to this episode.
Yes, I put that at the end actually, because there also might be more in the book about how her alters work and what each role her alter plays and things like that. So once I've read the book, if there is more information I feel necessary, then I'll do a part 2.
All right, cool.
Don't even worry.
We won't. You've got us. We know.
I've got you guys. So Jeni was born in England in 1970. She had an older sister and a younger brother, and the younger brother obviously came later. She had a mother with severe depression and a father that began abusing her from day dot.
Oh, God.
When Jeni was 4, her family up and moved to Australia, and it is unclear why. Perhaps it will say in the book, but from my research at the moment, it doesn't say why. But I personally believe it's so that her father wanted to alienate the family. He was abusive to Jeni's mum also, and then I believe all the way in Australia that there was no way she would feel comfortable leaving him and taking the children in a country that was foreign to them, and they had no family. So I believe they moved to Australia so that he could separate them.
Typical.
So Jeni was abused,
kind of thing.
Yes, yeah, that element of control. So Jeni was abused from an infant every single day up until the age of 11. This abuse wasn't just sexual abuse, it was torture, it was sadistic, it was physical, it was emotional, and it was relentless. Jeni says that she used to almost welcome the abuse so that it was done with, because she knew that it was coming, because it was every day. So she would be on edge all day, just waiting for it to happen, so that when it did, it was almost like a bit of a relief, because then she was like, right, I can relax now. Oh. She wasn't so on edge waiting for the attack. Jeni's abuse was so horrific that it left her little body permanently damaged. She has irreparable damage to her eyesights. The ligaments in her jaw have calcified. She has damage to her bowel so severe that she needed an operation and now has a colostomy bag. She has damage to her anus and so much damage to her coccyx that it had to be removed.
Oh my God.
Her little body was so damaged that she will never be able to carry children now. By the time Jeni was 11 years old, she had been pregnant 5 times. Between the ages of 11 and 14, she had been pregnant 7 more times.
Oh my goodness.
Aged 10, she gave birth to a stillborn baby at 8 months pregnant that her father aborted while in her belly, by causing Jeni physical damage and the baby. But at the time, Jeni didn't really know what was happening. She didn't understand sometimes when she actually had miscarried kind of in a toilet, or she bled a lot and miscarried, and she didn't know what was happening to her. she would go to her father and say, I'm bleeding, I'm bleeding. He would just abuse her and tell her it was her fault. She was disgusting. She was, all of these horrible things, and that it was her fault. So she never actually knew what was going on until later.
Yeah.
So as an adult, she came to terms with the loss of these babies, and she named them all. She named them Gemma, Eric, Rosemary, Cherry Lynn, Bobby, Carrie Ann, and Jessie. And she said that she takes comfort in knowing that they didn't have to grow up with her father and endure what she had endured. So to deal with such horrendous abuse that Jeni suffered on a day-to-day basis, knowing there was no way out, knowing no one was coming to save her, Jeni's brain came up with an ingenious way of saving herself. So she created other people to protect her. So although the abuse was still being done to her body, Jeni didn't occupy that space while the abuse was being done. So the first alter that Jeni was ever aware of was 4-year-old Symphony. So at first, this alter, from what I can gather, came about when Jeni was, I think, probably 4.
Okay.
And at first she said that she was just aware that somebody would sing to her. So Symphony was there to distract Jeni from the abuse. She would sing her little nursery rhymes. She would sing her little tunes, and she would try and take Jeni's conscious mind away from the abuse.
Yeah.
She would then, how she described it was that Symphony would take her away from the abuse and turn her around so that she wasn't facing the abuse. She was turned inwards. Right. So that she was almost facing the wall. She couldn't see the abuse that was being done to her body. So Symphony created each and every one of these alters, and she created them all with a purpose in mind, with a job to do to protect Jeni. She never created playmates. None of Jeni's personalities were other children to play with. That, like you would think of imaginary friend, or something to keep the child something for that child to play with. None of them served as playmates. They all served to keep Jeni alive and to block out how horrendous the abuse was. So I can't name all of Jeni's personalities and their roles because Jeni doesn't know all of their names and their roles, and some are fully formed alters like Symphony, and some are just fleeting alters that pop up and then go back down again and no longer present.
Right.
So Jeni's main alters, aside from Symphony, are Muscles. And Muscles is a teenage boy styled like Billy Idol. He is physically strong and mentally tough. And he was there to take the beatings instead of Jeni. He wears clothes that show off his strong arms. He's calm and he's protective. There is Judas. Judas is an 11-year-old boy that wears plain grey school trousers and a bright green jumper. Oh. Jeni describes him as looking like he's always about to speak. And Judas was tasked with one job. And Judas's job was to tell their secret to whoever would listen. And which he did. He would take the front sometimes when they felt it was safe to do so, and he would tell people what was happening to them. But because the severity of the abuse, the horrific nature, it was beyond believable. So it could only have been a lie. All of the people that Jeni or Judas spoke to about the abuse always said that it must have been a lie because it was just so horrendous. There's no way that it could be true. So there is Little Ricky. And Little Ricky is an 8-year-old boy that wears an old grey suit and has bright red hair. And Little Ricky probably had the worst job to do. So it was Little Ricky's job to choose which altar was going to front and face Jeni's father when he was abusing her. And he would then, when that altar was close to breaking point, he would then tap another altar on the shoulder and have them switch. So it was essentially Little Ricky's job to say, it's your turn now.
Yeah.
You need to
you take
deal with
over.
this. Yep. There is Volcano, and he's very strong, very tall. He's got bleach blonde hair and dresses head to toe in all black leather. He's also a protective figure. And there is Linda, which made me laugh because they're all like Judith,
Volcano.
muscles,
Yeah.
Volcano, and then there's Linda. So Linda is tall and slender and wears a 1950s pink poodle skirt. Her hair is in an elegant bun and she has tapered eyebrows. And it's her job to look after Jenny's schooling and relationships. But there were other alters, many other alters, and some were created to dull her senses, to block pain, to block the smell of her dad. Because she said that she could never deal with the smell of him. So one of the alters would come forward and block that, which nobody else can do apart from this somebody with DID. You can't block your senses from experiencing these things. So it is just incredible to me. There is an alter called the Assassin, and it is his job to retire some of the personalities when they no longer serve a purpose. Obviously, as Jenny grew older and the abuse stopped, some of the alters weren't needed, so he would retire them, which he didn't like kill them off or anything like that. He just would say, you're no longer needed. And I think what she says is they actually went to like a carnival type thing. So all of the alters that had done this horrendous job of fronting then got to experience this carnival once they'd been retired. So she also created this fun environment for them after they'd suffered this horrendous abuse. And there is an alter of Jenny herself. So there is the Jenny that was another Jenny. There is Jenny that was born. There was Jenny that was abused by her dad. And then there is an alter of Jenny. And from what I understand, it is this alter of Jenny that is fronting most of the time. It's not actually Jenny.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
Like just to have that shield.
Yeah. It's not, like I say, it's a protective barrier.
Yeah.
When you don't want to be you and you don't want to have to deal with this situation, someone comes in and goes, don't worry, I will deal with this situation.
Yeah.
So Jenny describes her alter as a system. She's able to communicate with them. They're all able to communicate with her and with each other. They often hold meetings to discuss certain topics. So for instance, later on in her life, when she wanted to go to university, they would kind of hold a debate almost and be like, right, well, what should we do here? Who should take this? Who should do this? And they would all work together. And the reason that she's able to know exactly how many alters that she's had is because Symphony has kept this like log, almost this like timesheet of alters. So she could quite easily Symphony could come out and tell you exactly who these alters were, what job they did and when they took over and what, every aspect of them. They all work together very effectively, very efficiently. They all care about each other and love each other. And when Jenny speaks about her as a being, she says we did this, us, they. There is a very all encompassed, she lives with these other people that are just inside her head. It would be like going out with a big group of friends and you'd say, oh yeah, we all went over there. She does exactly the same.
God, she'd be so lonely without them though, wouldn't she?
Yeah, because I don't think
they're her people and they're with her, they're accessible to her. I mean, I can sit and say, oh, I really miss my friends, which I do, and I'm seeing my friends like next week or whatever, and I think, oh, I can't wait, it's going to be something. But for her, she's got her family, her proper family that love her, with her all the time.
And that will do anything to protect her.
Yeah.
So again, from what I understand, you can merge alters to then become one, which I think it's going to be for somebody with dissociative identity disorder, through a lot of therapy, through a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, that is possible. Yeah. I don't know if that's possible for Jeni because of what she went through, and the fact I think she's quite reliant on her alters.
Yeah.
When her alters come forward, her characteristics are very different. The way she speaks, her mannerisms, her accent. If Symphony is fronting, she's speaking in a very she's like, oh hi. She's like very sweet, very higher pitched voice. And when Muscles is fronting, it's very deep, it's very to the point, it's very almost macho, it's quite staccato. And I've got to tell you, when I first started researching this and I listened to Jeni speaking, I was like, no. Sorry.
It's weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. But actually, from doing more and more research, there is it's not something that she's faking. It's not something that isn't real. That absolutely is something that she does. And it's just because it's so baffling and because it's so different and almost because it is so unbelievable, it's so easy to go, that's not true. That's not believable. But it really, really is. So each alter will come forward when they feel the need. So especially if being interviewed and a certain question is asked, and Symphony might be better. So if there's a question regarding her alters, how do you create your alters? Symphony will come forward because Symphony knows that information.
Yeah.
If there is a question regarding the physical abuse, Muscles will come forward and he'll know the information. So each alter will decide who's best to take on that question or that situation. Jeni's abuse only ended when the family moved back to England when Jeni was 11, and Jeni's mother eventually got a divorce. But then the abuse carried on until she was about 14 years old, because although she wasn't living with her dad, she still had to spend time with him. So it wasn't until she was actually 14 years old and they moved back to Australia without her dad, that she eventually got away. So after that, Jeni tried to rebuild her life and deal with the trauma as best as she could. She wasn't diagnosed at a young age with DID. It was only when she was a older adult that she was diagnosed. So she didn't really know. She didn't know any different. She'd had these from like a very, very young age. They'd always lived with her. She didn't know that you was only supposed to have your voice in your head. She didn't know that it was unusual to have all of these other people inside of her.
And what sort of year was this when she was like 14?
So it would have been 84.
Okay. Yeah, so not something that would have been spoken about
not
much
at all,
anyway.
no.
I mean, when I was...
Mental health wasn't really a topic of conversation, was it?
No.
In the 80s, so...
No.
So she spent 18 years studying in education at university, graduating with a degree in psychology, a master's in legal studies and criminal studies, and a PhD focusing on victims of crime.
Jeez.
She is very, very clever. But of course, for this, Symphony created a new alter. And it was this alter that generally did the studying, did the remembering, because the beauty of the alters is that they each have their own memories. So Jeni herself remembered very little of the details of the abuse that she suffered because she wasn't there when it happened.
Right.
It was the other alters that it happened to. So the other alters could tell you exactly what happened. So she knew that she had been abused, but she couldn't recall the details really. Because whenever the alters were fronting, Jeni lost that period of time. And like I said earlier, one of the signs of MPD is amnesia, periods of dissociation. So when it came time for Jeni to tell her story, it was these personalities, these alters that had these abundance of detailed memories, because that happened to them.
She weren't there.
She wasn't there. That happened to them.
Yeah.
That's their memory to have. So Jeni couldn't live with the idea that her father was still out there and that he had the capability of doing what he did to her to another child. So Jeni wanted to save the unknown child, as she calls it. She always says her goal was to save the unknown child. In no way, shape, or form did Jeni ever think that she would get justice for herself. She had been told all of her life that she was worthless, that no one cared about her. So she didn't even really contemplate that anybody would be interested in her story, or that they would do anything about the abuse that she suffered. She just wanted them to know that he is an abuser and he needs to be monitored. So despite not being believed most of her life, seeing many therapists for one reason and another that kind of refused to see her or didn't believe her, and because having MPD is seen as being unreliable. So no one would believe her abuse history because she had MPD, but you only get MPD from having an abuse history because that's how it's formed. So it was a very catch-22. You're seen as unreliable. You're seen as a liar almost because people don't really believe in MPD. So she was like, whether you believe me or not, just watch him. So Jeni bravely walked into the police station in Australia and told her story. And for once in her life, she was believed without even a hesitation. The officer in charge never questioned her. He asked her to write a statement detailing her abuse. And as soon as Jeni sat down, she said that she was like a machine with a pen in her hand, and her alters just took over and wrote every little detail of the years and years of abuse that she suffered, down to the different colours on one of his jumpers that he had on that day, the time, the weather, the smell, the feel, the pain, every single aspect, because each alter had that memory stored, that detail. It wasn't like as we get older and our memories fade, we can't recall it quite as well. It's very, very different with someone with MPD. So all of these details came out in a statement. Over the course of about 2 days, Jeni wrote nearly 1 million words in her statement.
Bloody hell.
It was something like 900,000 and something, blah, blah, blah. It was very nearly 1 million words.
Jeez.
Jeni said, my memories as a person with MPD are as pristine today as the day they were formed. Our memories are just frozen in time. If I need them, I just go and pick them up. So the case itself took over 10 years to get into court because he was now living in England and needed to be extradited to Australia where the crime took place. So it took a lot of police work, a lot of paperwork, which takes time. So it took about 10 years. And it actually took Jeni 8 of those years to realise that what the police were actually aiming to do was to get her justice. She had no idea that he was going to be put away for the crimes against her.
Right.
She always thought that it was to stop him offending anyone else. She never realised that he would finally be facing up to what he had done. And I found that really sad.
Yeah, that is
because
sad.
she never considered that the police would care about her enough to want to get her justice. So when it came time for her day in court to finally face him, as she sat on the witness stand, he was 74 years old.
Ugh.
The trial itself was only presented in front of a judge because lawyers considered it too traumatic a case to be held in front of a jury. he kind of wanted to mitigate the trauma to anybody else. In 2017, her father faced 367 charges. Among them, multiple counts of rape. They've got the word in here of buggery, which is sodomy, indecent assault, and carnal knowledge of a child under 10. Because Jeni had with her 6 witnesses that she would call on, and all would have been able to provide detail on every single offence in court, which is why he was charged with so many, because Jeni had all of that evidence stored up. Jeni was the first woman, or the first person with MPD to use her alters in court as witnesses to provide evidence of a crime. She told the judge, "My dad's abuse was calculated and it was planned. It was deliberate and he enjoyed every minute of it. He heard me beg him to stop. He heard me cry. He saw the pain and terror he was inflicting upon me. He saw the blood and the physical damage he caused. And the next day, he chose to do it all again." As a victim of multiple sex crimes, Jeni had the right to anonymity. But under that law that protects her, the anonymity also extends to her father, because he was a relative of hers, which I heard it at first and I was like, that is absurd. But actually,
that's what I'm thinking.
If his name, it's done to protect her. So if his name was plastered all over the papers,
okay,
it would quite easily be traced back to her, and then that would wreck her anonymity.
Yeah.
So as shit as that is, it protects the circle of family as well, and it's normally a family member that would do the abusing. Jeni wanted everybody to know his name. She wanted everybody to know what he had done. So she quite bravely waived her right to anonymity and sat on the stand ready to tell of the years and years and years of abuse. And about 2.5 hours into Symphony's testimony, she started from the abuse from when it first started and managed to get through the abuse from when it first started up until 1974. So Jeni would have been 4 years old. So 2.5 hours of speaking about this abuse just for that short period of time. Her father changed his plea to guilty. Right. So therefore, she didn't have to elaborate anymore. She didn't have to tell the rest of the story. And he pled guilty to 25 charges. And it wasn't that he didn't want to hear the horrendous details and that he didn't want to hear the rest of the abuse from age 4 to 14. He wasn't trying to save Jeni from re-traumatizing herself. He just didn't want everybody else to know what he had done, so he kind of cut it off and was like, all right, there seems to be a lot of evidence here. I'll just plead guilty and then have it be done with.
If I was the judge, I'd be like, no, we're going to hear the whole lot. Thank you.
I think, to be honest, the judge was probably quite glad that he put a stop to it because of what the abuse entailed. So he was sentenced to 45 years in prison, and being the age of 74, he will absolutely 100% die in prison. And
that's too good for him.
Now, I know that story wasn't quite as detailed as the other episodes because I generally like to include as much information as possible, but I didn't feel it quite appropriate to share all of the information. And actually, I don't have all of the information. It literally is in the book. Unless you've read the book, you won't know. She doesn't talk about the details of the abuse really in interviews. They obviously don't ask her, and so.
Well, we've got the gist that the abuse was like
relentless. It was
sadistic. I can't even put it into words. It's probably the worst case of abuse that maybe I've ever heard. I think
it really is actually
horrendous.
There's some he used to do like a birthday ritual which would involve her giving birth to a doll. So I won't go into details, but yeah, it is genuinely horrendous. So yeah, I spared the details. But if I've read
I just can't believe that people like that, and I mean him, actually like exist on this
it's
plane.
scary as well, because
Yeah.
he obviously had a job, he had friends, he has the rest of
Yeah.
his family, and he can go about his day acting very normal.
Yeah.
And that is terrifying.
And then
That
he
he can
goes
blend into society and then go home and do those things to his own daughter, and that's awful. But once I've read the book, if I feel that there is any information in there that I can include, then I will do another little recap episode.
Cool.
But while I was researching about MPD or DID, I came across some other instances, so I thought that I would include those, because some are absolutely wild stories that people's alters have done while fronting.
Okay.
And I didn't necessarily want to do it to make fun of
No.
that, or I didn't want to make light of it. I just wanted to include it to show how incredible the brain is, how scary it is, and how MPD works for some people. So the first one is what you asked, Kate. Can somebody do something horrendous while fronting? So in 1977, 22-year-old Billy Milligan was arrested for the kidnapping, robbery, and rape of 3 women around the Ohio State campus area. He was picked out in a lineup. His fingerprints were there. He was ultimately found guilty and was imprisoned for his crimes. But during a psychiatric evaluation while in prison, Billy remained steadfast in the fact that it wasn't him. He never would have done that. He said that he had no part in it. He said it was Reagan that had stolen the money, and it was Adelina who had raped the women. So a continued evaluation revealed 8 additional altered personalities. And he was the first person to be found not guilty by reason of insanity because of his MPD. So he was actually retried and then let out, but placed in a mental facility or a psychiatric ward.
Right.
So according to his doctors, he suffered severe physical and sexual abuse in his childhood. It was inflicted on him by his stepfather, and it caused his personality to splinter into 10. And then later on, he had about 24 separate personalities, and they had little knowledge of the other's actions. And it just so happened that one of his alters, Reagan, who was the protector, saw an opportunity to rob somebody to gain money and therefore survive. It was his job to protect. So he was like, we need money. I'm going to go and rob somebody. And he hijacked 3 women at gunpoint. So the other alter, Adelina, he described her as a sex-starved lesbian, and that saw an opportunity. These 3 women were held at gunpoint, and she was like,
might have some of that.
So it was Adelina that then raped all these women. And this all came out in court. His personalities, his alters came forward. They all testified, and he was deemed not guilty by reason of insanity, but on the basis of his multiple personalities.
That's crazy.
Which is absolutely wild. And I think perhaps I may cover that story at some point, because
that'd be good.
Is absolutely mental.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to hear the full version of that.
Yes, I'd like to do some more research on that. I very, very briefly researched it. There is Chris Costner Sizemore, and she's quite a famous woman diagnosed with MPD, DID, and she was the face behind the film The 3 Faces of Eve, which is a story based on her life and about somebody suffering with or somebody living with MPD. She actually has about 20 alters, not 3, but she has some distinct ones. One is called Eve Black and one is called Eve White. Eve Black was not very nice.
I was going to say, does that represent the...
Yes. So when she gave birth to her daughter, Eve Black took over and tried to strangle the newborn baby. Luckily, Eve White stopped her and no further damage was done. But then I think it was like from that, she then went to see a psychiatrist and was like, something's happening.
Something's not right.
Yeah, and she was then diagnosed. I also found a great podcast called The Mangled Mind, and it is hosted by a man named Stephen, and he isn't shy about telling his story about his own experiences living with DID and what his alters got up to. Stephen is unaware of his other alters and what they get up to. He was actually put in prison for 9 years because of his alters' actions. Stephen was a practicing lawyer. He was very well respected. One of his alters, however, liked to steal and robbed 3 banks before he was caught, all the while Stephen was unaware. And then they were put in prison for 9 years. He tells a lot of stories about waking up in a sex swing because one of his alters would come out at night and was very sexually promiscuous. So Stephen would kind of wake up after this period of dissociation and have no idea where he was or what was happening. It is honestly absolutely wild. And as part of the podcast, he interviews other people with DID. And one in particular blew my mind. And it's a person named Magnolia. Magnolia had an alter that identified as male. And while fronting for a few years, went and got top surgery and started hormone therapy to be able to fully transition into a male. And when Magnolia finally came back years later, they were in for quite a shock. So Magnolia is now off the hormones, trying to detransition, and currently identifies as non-binary.
Goodness.
And that is
like woke up and was like,
what have you done?
What did you do?
Yeah, honestly, I think I can't remember if it was Magnolia or not, but one of them said that one of their alters had been fronting for a few years and had gotten married.
Oh, that's mad, isn't it?
Yeah,
you would have like no knowledge of it at all.
No knowledge at all.
So,
but some people do have knowledge of what their alters, not what their alters do, but they have knowledge of their alters, and then are able to communicate effectively with their alters.
Yeah.
Some of them don't have that network and aren't able to communicate effectively with their alters. It just
human mind is bonkers.
And that's I said all throughout this podcast that the human mind just baffles me so much, and the fact that it can do this is that what else can it do?
Exactly.
It's so unexplored.
Like they say, don't they, we use 10% of our brains.
Yep.
And I think that this is a way of, like you said, like the protection, like when you get extreme trauma like that and your brain needs to do something to protect you. I wonder if that's like the 11% or something like that. Like, it would be else kicking in.
Certainly a different part of the brain that we would use. But yeah, it is just, you can understand why it happens.
Yeah. Thank God it happens, really.
Well, yeah, what other option? But the sad thing is that it literally comes from a place of there being no other way to protect themselves. Apart from to create these other people. Yeah. But for the brain to be able to take you away from that and to let you not remember. I mean, there are other instances where you go through a certain period of trauma and you don't necessarily remember it because your brain shuts that part off to protect. So I just think that it's an exceptional ability of the human brain triggered by the most horrendous circumstances, and it's
caused by other humans.
Yep. Yeah.
It's just mad, isn't it? I mean, that is incredibly sad. And I think the abuse that Jodie went through, awful.
Who's
Jenny. Sorry, Jenny. Um, yeah, just awful. Just really, really sad. And the fact that she's got all these personalities, I don't want to call them people, but all these personalities around her at all times. I think it's actually lovely. I think it's
Well,
really
that's how
lovely
she
that
sees it.
yeah,
She sees it as it's great. I've got all of these people that love me and they done
yeah,
something for me when I was going through the most horrendous time I
yeah,
could. And like I said, she said that it's an act of love. MPD is an act of love. And I think that's such a great way
yeah,
to frame it.
yeah. No, I actually love that. I think
Yeah.
it's beautiful that our bodies and our brains are able to do that for us in these
Yeah.
such extreme circumstances, which should never happen. It should never, DID should not be a thing.
Yeah. It can happen in instances of war as well. Like if in
Mm,
a war zone when people are at a young age going through like horrendous trauma, it doesn't have to
yeah,
be childhood sexual abuse. It's just
yeah,
unrelenting trauma. But most
just,
of the cases it is that, which is just awful.
yeah,
But this episode I
abuse.
did really for my own gratification because I'm just so baffled by it. I just wanted to cover it for my
Yeah,
own self, really.
no, it was sad. It was sad, but just so intriguing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Poddy.
You are welcome. And that's it.
All done.
All done for today.
Another episode. Right. Well, I will be doing a supernaturally ghosty one
Can't wait.
next week. And then yeah. And then the episode after that will be yours.
Yep.
And then the one after that will be a Blam. Is that
Cool.
right?
Yep, that'll be in August. Yep.
Yeah.
All right
Okay.
then.
Lolly.
Well, thank you very much, and we will see you on the next one.
Catch you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
If you have enjoyed listening to our episodes, make sure you rate us and leave us a review on whatever platform you are listening.
We absolutely love hearing from you guys. So you can also help support our show by donating to our Buy Me a Coffee link. We will make sure that you get a massive shout out and a big thank you in our next week's episode.
You can also follow us on social media at Perplexed Podcasts. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and if you want to see more videos and blooper reels, subscribe to our TikTok and YouTube channels.
You can also email us your stories at perplexedpodcasts@gmail.com.
And you can find all the relevant links in the episode descriptions. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.